Hi everyone, welcome back. Our next discussion will be on fracture healing. Normal bone is a lamellar bone. As we all know, there are two types of bones. One is lamellar bone and second one is oven bone. Lamellar bone is a mature bone. It is seen in most of the cortical and cancellous bones. It is organized and well arranged, and the orientation is according to the stresses it received based on Wolff's law. Thus, the normal human skeleton is composed of a lamellar bone as given in this picture. The bone has an outer yellow layer called as the cortex and inner white layer called as the medulla. When there is a break in the continuity of this structure, that is a break in the continuity of the cortex, it is defined as fracture. And whenever a fracture occurs, the normal process is it should heal by forming new bone in the fracture site. The major determinant in forming this new bone in the fracture site is the presence of movement at the fracture site. And the types of healing is classified based upon the movement that occurs in the fracture site after fracture. Now, if you take this fractured bone, for example, when this fractured bone is operated and fixed with plates and screws in such a way that there is a rigid fixation and approximation of the fracture surfaces, there is absolutely no movement in the fracture site. So this is the first scenario where the fracture ends are rigidly fixed by internal fixation and there is no movements happening in the fracture ends. So in this first scenario, this gap is directly filled by deposition of lamellar bone. This deposition of lamellar bone directly in the fracture site without intermediary callus formation is called as intramembranous ossification, or in other words, it is called primary bone healing. So whenever there is no movement in the fracture site, the fracture heals by direct deposition of lamellar bone, and that is why it is called primary bone healing. Means primarily the lamellar bone forms and heals the fracture gap. The important point to be noted here is there is no callus formation. Now coming to the second scenario where there is movement occurring at the fracture site as shown in this picture. When there is a movement occurring in the fracture site, there is a formation of callus. This callus is a reparative tissue that forms when there is movement in the fracture site, and this can happen when the fracture is treated conservatively or when it is treated using an intramedullary nail where some amount of movement occurs at the fracture site even though an internal fixation in the form of nail is used. So whenever there is movement in the fracture site, there is intermediary callus formation, and this callus converts itself into a cartilage, and this cartilage is replaced then by bone. So this intermediary callus formation differentiates this type of bone healing, which is called as secondary bone healing. So now these are the two main types of bone healing. When there is no movement in the fracture site, it is a primary bone healing, and when there is movement in the fracture site, it is secondary bone healing. And in this secondary bone healing, there is intermediary callus formation, which later gets converted into bone. Now we'll discuss these two types of healing in detail. Now coming to primary bone healing, which means direct lamellar bone formation without intermediary callus formation. Now if you take this cortex, this is a normal intact cortex. Whenever a break happens in this cortex, it is called as a fracture. So once the fracture happens, there is death of bone at the site of the fracture because of loss of blood vessels. So the first cells which come into the site of the fracture are the osteoclast. These osteoclasts form the cutting cone and they remove the dead bone from the fracture site. Once this cutting cone is formed, blood vessels enter into this cutting cone. These blood vessels bring the osteoblast subsequent to the osteoclast, because once the osteoclasts remove the dead bone, there is a gap in which these osteoblasts lay down new bone along its path, and lamellar bone gets deposited in this cutting cone. When this process continues, the entire fracture gap heals and new lamellar bone is directly formed at the fracture site. There is no callus formation in this. So this is the mechanism of primary fracture healing, where lamellar bone forms directly by the cutting cone. Now coming to the secondary bone healing, where bone formation in the fracture gap occurs from an intermediary callus formation. Now take this bone for example. This is a normal tubular extremity bone with the yellow cortex and the white medulla. This red line is the periosteal blood vessel which is present in the periosteum. This periosteal blood vessel supplies blood to the outer one-third of the cortex. There is another blood vessel within the medulla, and this is called as intramedullary blood vessel, which supplies the inner two-thirds of the cortex. So this periosteal blood vessel and the endosteal or intramedullary blood vessel play a major role in supplying blood supply to the bone. Now, when a fracture occurs, there is a break in the continuity of the bone, resulting in the formation of gap. So once fracture occurs, it is not only the bone which is broken, the blood vessels also get ruptured. So what will happen once the blood vessels get ruptured? There is a collection of blood, or in other words, there is a collection of hematoma around the fracture site because of the rupture of periosteal and the intramedullary blood vessels. This hematoma, in addition to all the cells, also contain platelets which form a clot. So this is the first stage of fracture healing. That is, stage 1 is stage of hematoma formation, which occurs within the first week. The platelets which are present in the hematoma further get activated, and along with the other neutrophils, they produce cytokines, interleukins, and growth factors, which attracts the other stem cells towards the hematoma. The other cells which come towards the hematoma because of the influence of these growth factors are the mesenchymal cells, the fibroblasts, and the osteoprogenitor cells. So these three together, along with the hematoma, convert the hematoma into a granulation tissue, and this is the second stage, that is the stage of inflammation, which also gets completed within the first week of fracture. So once the inflammatory cells get collected in the hematoma, these cells produce various lineage of tissues. Like for example, the mesenchymal cells produce cartilage, the fibroblasts produce fibrous tissue, and the osteoprogenitor cells produce immature bone or woven bone. So the combination of these three, that is the cartilage, fibrous tissue, and woven bone, remove off the hematoma and convert the hematoma into a soft callus. It is called soft callus because it is not mineralized. It is a combination of cartilage, fibrous tissue, and woven bone without mineralization. And the predominant part in this soft callus is a fibrocartilage which is calcified, and it is not a bone. There is predominance of type 2 collagen here. So this is the stage 3, that is stage of soft callus formation, which occurs from the end of inflammatory phase till 1 month, that is from 1 to 4 weeks following a fracture. Once the soft callus bridges the fracture site both externally and internally, the fracture site becomes sticky because of this callus. Now blood vessels sprout into this soft callus, and these blood vessels bring osteoblasts into the soft callus. These osteoblasts lay down the osteoid, which is composed of type 1 collagen, which is predominantly seen in mature bone. So these new vessels which sprout into the soft callus bring the osteoblast cells into the soft callus, and they lay down type 1 collagen. This type 1 collagen mineralizes the soft callus, and hence the soft callus is converted into hard callus. This mineralized callus is otherwise called as hard callus, and this is the stage 4, that is stage of hard callus, which occurs between 1 to 4 months following a fracture. This mineralized hard callus then finally bridges the gap at the fracture site, producing a clinically united bone. But still, you should understand that this hard callus is not a mature bone, it is the immature woven bone because it is not converted into a laminar bone till now, and the medulla is not reformed. So now the next step is this woven bone has to be converted into a lamellar bone. Now, similar to the primary bone healing, once the woven bone is there, the blood vessel brings the osteoclast inside. As we all know, osteoclasts are the cell which causes bony resorption. These osteoclasts, which is brought by the blood vessel, resorbs the woven bone, and once the osteoclast resorbs the bone, the gap is automatically filled by subsequent osteoblasts which are brought into the site by the blood vessel, and these osteoblasts lay down lamellar bone in the gap which is created by the resorption of woven bone. Finally, the woven bone is completely removed and the osteoblasts lay down the lamellar bone completely at the fracture site. So once this is done, the cortex and the medulla gets reformed, and this reformation of the cortex and the medulla and the conversion of this bone according to the stresses back to the original lamellar bone is called stage of remodeling. So this is the last stage, that is stage of remodeling. Finally the lamellar bone gets deposited. So secondary fracture healing has 5 stages: stage of hematoma, stage of inflammation, stage of soft callus, stage of hard callus, and finally stage of remodeling. Now this completes the discussion on the two types of bony healing at the fracture site. Now to summarize, whenever there is a fracture, first thing we have to assess is whether there is movement at the fracture site. When there is no movement in the fracture site, as seen in rigid internal fixation by plates and screws, the fracture heals by primary bone healing, which is nothing but direct deposition of lamellar bone in the fracture gap by cutting cones, and there is no callus formation in primary bone healing. Now coming to the second scenario, whenever there is a movement at the fracture site, as seen in conservative treatment of fractures and intramedullary nail fixation, this persistence of movement in the fracture site results in callus formation, and the bone heals by secondary bone healing. And the secondary bone healing has 5 stages, that is hematoma, inflammation, soft callus, hard callus, and remodeling. So these are the two types of bony healing at the fracture site. Hope you have understood the types of fracture healing. Thank you for listening to this video, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video.